Hi, I'm Mark Smith with Family Tree Counseling Associates in Carmel, Indiana, and I'm going to be speaking today on the subject of inconvenient truths. No, this video is not about Al Gore or global warming. That is where I sort of had that title rumbling around in my subconscious, so all apologies to Al Gore. This video is more about inconvenient truths about ourselves and how we tend to avoid certain things about ourselves that are too knowing and too painful. This video is a little different as I'm sending it out with a blog of the same title, which I've never done before. And I'm just going to try it and see if it's helpful for me to have the material fresh in my mind. And also I'm aware that some people learn differently, that some people are more visual and they learn by reading and taking in words, and other people might be able to turn this video on in their phone when they're driving around and just listen to it. Some people like to connect eye to eye, so it'll just take this similar information and put it in a different media form. It might be better in a way because I'll be able to elaborate on stories, I think, a little better. It might be a little awkward, this video, because I'm going to read some things from the blog, and I never read when I make videos. I just sort of chat and go off the cuff. So it might be a little stilted in places, but I thought the quotes that I have were sort of good, so I thought I would read them. So here we go. The other day, last Monday in fact, my son and his girlfriend and a friend and I were all just recently seated at Scotty's Brew Pub. They're on Virginia Avenue, downtown Indianapolis, about 3 blocks away from the Pacers basketball venue. And my son looked up and said, "Hey, Dad, is Fred supposed to be here?" And I said, "No, I don't think so." Look up, and sure enough, there's my best friend, Freddie, and his son coming into the restaurant. So we squeeze them into our table, and we're having conversation, and it was one of those serendipitous blessings that was just really cool. But then Fred's son started talking about an incident that happened several years ago that was a little bit embarrassing for me, and that is Fred and I and my girlfriend, we were all on a motorcycle trip to Milwaukee. It was a big concert thing up there, and it's in the middle of summer. It was I believe it was July 4th, 2010, I believe. And we were going to stop and stay at a hotel just outside of Chicago. And as we were getting off the exit ramp, only going about 35 miles an hour, we pulled off the exit ramp, and there was a police car in one of the lanes without its lights on. And so we had to switch lanes on the exit ramp to get down to the hotel to where we were going. And when we did that, there was a gap in the road this wide, and my man Fred's tire was real thin. It was about this wide. And I zoomed on by, and when he changed lanes, his tire got stuck in the middle of that poorly prepared road, and he went flying into an embankment, a cement wall, and I heard a crash, and so back we went, and he didn't appear to be dying. I mean, he wasn't bleeding where I could see any blood, and he was talking, he was coherent, his bike didn't look that bad. I knew we weren't going that fast. And in my little pea brain, you know, we're going to rub a little dirt on it and scoop him up and just, you know, put him maybe in a rented car, and we'll just keep going to Milwaukee the next day. Thought maybe he broke his arm, but so I called his son and said, "Hey, it's not that bad." And his son reported to me that then when he talked with the nurse, she informed him that Fred had broken every rib on his left side, that there was a compound fracture of his left arm. His right wrist was broken, his heart was bruised, his spleen was damaged and needed to be removed. And basically, he wasn't in very good condition, and, it was iffy whether, he might even live through it. But my reality, my mind couldn't take that in. My defenses were just not able to be flexible enough to see reality as reality actually was. My defenses told me what to believe and what was not the truth and what was the truth. I couldn't handle the actual truth. So in my blog I said, so is the moral of the story that Mark's a knucklehead? And I said that's sort of taken for granted that's true, but I think the message is bigger than that, and that's because what I did there probably isn't all that terribly unusual. I think we all do, maybe not as bad as what I did, but we all tend to do that. We all have painful incidents, situations, issues, flaws, failures, problems, addictions, and or truths about us and those around us that are just too emotionally depressing and inconvenient to fully take in. Life really can be sort of brutal at times. To a large part, emotional health and psychological intelligence is about being strong enough to take in truth and reality and then process that information with a full range of emotions. So, what are the inconvenient truths about you? Got any of those? What are the inconvenient truths about your relationship, about your work life, about your children, about your finances, about your health, about your weight? What about inconvenient truths about your upbringing and your childhood and your parents? Can you handle the inconvenient truths about yourselves? I've had clients literally know about but ignore the affairs of their spouses for many, many years because they couldn't handle the pain. They couldn't bring it up. I think we've all heard of people who've ignored tumors. There's something growing, in various places, and they're just ignoring it. Like an ostrich with their head in the sand, there is no tumor because I don't want to go to the doctor because then he'll tell me that I've got cancer and I don't want cancer, so I'm going to pretend it's not there. Not good thinking. So I had a husband recently, his wife told him that for their almost 4 decades of marriage, he's been a rager. He had no clue. He was just out of the loop on that one. He was flabbergasted. He did not know that he was a rager and was shocked that his wife suggested that he was one. And I've had many cases where, and it's usually the fellas, where I ask the guy and he says, well, I'm happily married. And I've been happily married for years. And the wife, she ain't happily married. She's already sat down and talked with a divorce attorney to extricate her from her situation because she's been miserable for a long time. But he thought they were happy. He didn't know. So, is there any coffee that it would behoove you to wake up and smell? It seems like, and it really is true, that this inconvenient truth problem is harder for the guys because as men, when we were injured playing football, the coach actually did tell us, hey, Smith, you so-and-so, just rub a little dirt on it. Get back in the game. Be a man. Don't be a sissy. Don't cry. So we're taught that we need to not pay attention to our feelings, not pay attention to our perceptions, not pay attention to our bodies. So when Fred went into that wall, I just thought he'd rub a little dirt on it and we'd just keep on going because that's sort of what men do. So many times men are the very last to know if they're oblivious. I mean, that sort of makes sense. If you're oblivious, you don't know you're oblivious. Self-absorbed, they don't know that. Some of them aren't funny. and they think they're funny. No, I'm funny. Think. Insensitive, insecure, controlling, obnoxious, rude. They don't have a clue. Addictive and or sort of an asshole. Sometimes they just don't have a clue who they are, partially because they're married to a woman who's codependent and doesn't have a strong enough voice. So fellas like this, there's several things that take them out. Emotional train wrecks, baseball bats to the skull, not actual baseball bats. You know what really gets them? Is packed bags. When they come home from acting out or ignoring or being addictive in some fashion, and there are bags packed and left in the garage, and you leave the message, don't even bother to come in, that'll get a man's attention. Separation. I call it the most powerful tool in the toolbox. And it really does make a tremendous difference, and it can motivate an unmotivated, non-insightful, arrogant man to get busy being humble and learning some things. The last thing that works is big, scary, fat lawyers named Bubba. One time, many years ago, it was actually near Waco, Texas, and it was right around the time of the David Koresh thing. I even looked outside and saw the burning of the compound. But I was down there for a custody battle, and I got put on the stand, and there was this real scary, hefty Texas fella, and I don't even know if his name was Bubba, but I called him Bubba, and he ripped me apart. I mean, if I was torn apart. If I'd have been on the stand another 15 minutes, I'm pretty sure I would have copped to any unsolved local murders. I mean, he had me twisted up in pretzels. On the way home from this, I actually just happened to be on a plane with my brother, who's a salesman, and as a psychological defense, we laughed about this, and I was probably more funny that day than I'd been any day of my life as a reaction to this scary lawyer. Counter-dependent men don't like scary lawyers, especially when that lawyer is employed by their wives, because generally they don't have a very strong case, these fellas. So I go to a writing group that meets on Saturday mornings, and I wrote a little piece about love and marriage. Sort of freaked the group out. They thought it was a little dark, but I'm going to read it to you, so I apologize for not focusing on here, but I think it's a good piece, and I wanted to stress how love and marriage fits into this whole inconvenient truth thing. Love is the preeminent inconvenient truth of our culture. When we say love, we think of romantic love, in spite of the fact that for most of us in the long haul, romantic love turns out to not be especially loving at all, when you think about it. Romantic love endures way too much for way too long, generally. And it isn't really love, but rather a symptom of a deeper problem, and that is the lack of loving yourself. If you do not love yourself and accept, approve of, like, and nurture yourself, then you're really not a very viable candidate for genuine, mature marital love. Romantic love is Mother Nature's way of offering to us an opportunity to heal our deepest unresolved childhood needs. You know that from if you've watched any previous videos, we've talked about that a lot. So Mother Nature, that sneaky old gal, tricks us into over-idealizing the object of our affections, while not having the very first clue that someone that we're over-idealizing actually, for some of us, is an emotional assassin who's going to someday cut your liver out. That was a part that freaked the group out. Or they might just be, for some of us, well-meaning, but their inabilities to meet our emotional needs sort of feels like a dull Chinese water torture every day for 20, 30 years. Just painful because they're not scratching the itch right, you know. So we fall in love with very cleverly hidden versions of the person or the persons who hurt us the most while we were growing up and we were little and innocent and powerless. The ability to sustain genuine, healthy love begins by sifting through the ashes of and the brokenness of our bruised and in some cases completely burned down relationships, and then piecing together who we are, where we came from, why this painful thing happened to us. It wasn't the plan. That wasn't what we saw coming. And to see how it can help to mold us to be the very best and the highest form of us, both for the present and for the future. So love thyself. Healthy love is not selfish, it's actually sacred. So avoid the train wrecks. I've seen so many of them. I was in one myself. You don't want your marriage to blow up and turn into a train wreck. Fellas, it would behoove you to avoid the baseball bat to the skull. It would behoove you to avoid the packed bags if you possibly can, and the separation that goes with it. And you definitely want to stay away from the lawyers named Bubba, you know, because they're going to come get your stuff, and it's going to not be pleasant. So in this blog, I have a picture of a bear trap clamped down on a man's leg near his ankle, and it's pretty bloody and it's sort of gross. But I put that in there because I wanted to leave an indelible image, because walking around numbed out to the truths of who you are, that's what it's like. It's like walking around every day with a big smile on your face. I'm happy, I'm cool, I have it all together, when you got a bear trap on your leg and you're bleeding all over the place. It really doesn't make sense. And I wanted to leave a powerful image that would sort of haunt people as they thought about it. So what we try to do at Family Tree Counseling is we try to embrace the pain, and we teach people, don't run from your pain. If you run from your pain, you're just going to create a lot more pain. Run into your pain and embrace your pain. The pain of your marriage is a gift. It's a good thing. Don't run away from it. Don't hide yourself from it until you get that train wreck and that baseball bat to the skull. So, one more thing. I think I owed my buddy Fred a solid after leaving him. I didn't leave him. We got him to the hospital right away. But I didn't see the situation very well when he was in the wreck with the motorcycle. So anyway, my friend Fred is a great massage therapist. He's really excellent. He works with injuries, and he's almost close to being a physical therapist, but he's a great massage therapist, and he's caring and nurturing. Anyway, you can learn more about Fred by looking at his website, which is Massage Works, and it's works with an E instead of with an O, massageworksindy.com, and tell you all about Fred, and go get a massage and tell him that I sent you to make up for me doing that thing about the side of the road. So when I couldn't deal with that, was too inconvenient a truth. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope you got some value out of it, and I hope that you've learned something. And my name is Mark Smith. You can buy some ebooks that I've written about this subject and other subjects at our website, which is familytreecounseling.com. familytreecounseling.com, or you can call me or text me at 317-507-8866. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.